So I'd like to call on Nishrin first to come and speak to us.
It's an honor to be speaking here today along with Meena, Kandasamy and Angana, Chatterji. I have known her for a long, long time as she has been working in the cause for women. First of all, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Not here.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, especially Kalpana, Amritji, Chatterji Singh, and the organizers of this event for inviting me to speak on behalf of the victims of Gujarat. When Kalpana first contacted me, I kind of felt that somebody in UK has recognized and want to hear what has happened to the victims of Gujarat, and especially the young girls, the women, the children who were brutally murdered. So I decided that I wanted to come. I mean, I live in USA, it's very far off. Fortunately, we were going to India and we made this stop here. So I want to bring out a couple things of who I am, where I am coming from, who were the people who were butchered, who were the girls who were raped. They were like me. I was raised in the same place where hundreds of girls were raped, brutally murdered. They didn't die of suffocation in a house which was far. They were slashed into pieces. Girls were raped, mutilated. So I'm a housewife, I have 2 kids. In 2002, when this episode happened, my dad was murdered. So of course I'm actually part of this, I am hurt. But I wasn't going to speak, I wasn't a speaker, I wasn't going to go into conferences and schools and events like this one to speak. 4 months passed by after February 2002, and I was told that I can come and visit my mother, because it wasn't safe during the first few months to go and visit Gujarat. My house was totally burned, my father was killed, the complex was completely destroyed. So in 2002, with 9 NRIs, we went to India. And when we went to India, we decided that Ahmedabad was completely destroyed, Muslim community was destroyed. So in September 2002, with the 9 NRIs, we decided to go into villages and see what was the case going there. Everybody's focus was in Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a very large city. When I met the girls there, when I met the young girls who had survived this massacre, the ones who were dead were gone. They had taken the torture, the humiliation, but they were killed. They were somewhere in the fields, lying in the wells. But then, I met these girls. They were 20-year-old, 15-year-olds, 30-year-old girls. When I went to the villages, they knew who I was. They kept saying, Jafri Saab ki beti aayi hai, Jafri Saab's daughter is here. They all cuddled around me. They wanted to take me into these narrow lanes and small houses and sheds. These are the places where TV, NGOs, none of the people were allowed there. After they have been raped, after they were raped, they were tortured. These girls saw their parents being killed, their children being killed. Now they're being protected by their own parents. I went to meet with them. They couldn't say a word. They couldn't say a sentence. But I knew that they were raped. They'd gone through this thing. They put their head on my shoulder. They couldn't say anything. Names after names, village after village. And then I decided, when I came back, that I'm going to speak. I'm not going to speak because my father was butchered. My father was killed. He was 73 years old. But I'm going to speak because somebody has to tell you what happened to these young girls. When I was standing there and you all young girls walked down the steps, my heart was already filling up. Because in my complex, all the girls, 15, 16, every time I went from USA to India, they would say, Nargis Appa, my home name is Nargis, Nargis Appa, जब हम 12th पास कर लेंगे तो हम US आएंगे, हम ये करेंगे, हम डॉक्टरी पढ़ेंगे. And when I look at the album, after February 28th, every single page, I'm missing a girl, I'm missing a child, I'm missing a family, I'm missing a husband, I'm missing a mother. 19 bungalows, 500 Muslims in this community. Everyone took shelter on that awful day in our complex. 169 people in my house. Daytime. This was not in the midnight. This was not some spontaneous thing that happened. A mob came, killed 5 people and left. Very systematic, very brutal killing in broad daylight. It started off at 10 a.m. in the morning with rape, loot, murder. Ended at 7 p.m. after the last person left, to burning every single home and looting every single home. So I want to talk to you about, this is the reason I came out and I said I will speak. Sometimes I write a speech, but since the time Kalpana had invited, I wanted to make sure I tell you everything these girls have gone through. So what you're seeing is not just me standing here. All of them standing behind me, trying to tell you that you got to speak and work for them. They were like me, just like you. What did they do different? That they were raped so brutally, violated. If you listen to the documentaries that are being made, documentary that she has made, Final Solution, freely in Ahmedabad, people are saying how finally the trucks came in and took the bodies out of villages from the wells and took them for cremation. Bodies after bodies. This picture here, you see some pictures here, you see some photos, but all the ones that are empty are those girls. I only have few with faces that you will see. Rest of them, you don't have pictures. You go to places, you will talk, my daughter died. Some mothers will even tell you, Acha hi hai mar gayi. It's good that she died because she was raped. I saw all that stuff. I couldn't help her. She was screaming in the field and I couldn't help her. It's better she's dead. She's dead because what kind of life she would have had. And yes, there is no life for these girls. There is no rehabilitation in India. They are basically suffering alone. So this was one of the reasons I wanted to come out and tell you and show you these pictures that I have collected. These are all my own pictures when I went to villages. So I also wanted to talk to you about 1969. This massacre happened in 1969 also, when I was only a 4-year-old kid. Our house was burned. My mother tells me about that awful day when things were like getting heated up and they didn't want to leave their home. They were just a newlywed couple, there are 2 kids and many others in the community, right there in the same place where 2002 happened. My mother kept saying, "We kahan jayenge? Yahan se bhag kar kahan jayenge?" But the mobs kept coming closer and closer. And finally they had to pick us up and run. All night they ran. And then finally they found something where they could hide. And then we all ended up for an entire year in a refugee camp. So half the people who are living in Gulberg society have already gone through this in 1969. But as we grew up, my father decided right there in 1969 in the camps that he wanted to come back to the same place. Why not? We're living in a democracy. India is a democratic country. My father was very strong-headed. He was young. He said, we are going to go back right there and we're going to rebuild our burnt home and we're going to live right there. I think my mother had protested that before. If she had known what was going to come in 2002, she would have never allowed that. But we moved back in that community. We lived there for 30 years, 35 years. Since he came back, his motto was that this should never happen again. A lot of people didn't come back with him. Some friends came back, especially in Ahmedabad. A ghettoization started, which is now called a mini Pakistan, Juhapura, you can name it. All the Muslims started crowding in there. My dad stayed there. He started working with the other people, other community. He wanted to pass on that we are the same. We need to be friends. The community has to come together. For years and years, he tried that. Then comes February 2002. I'm going to show you some pictures of my dad so you can get an idea that how they differentiated between what we were doing, how we were living there. What made them think that the girls they were raping, they were looting, they were brutally killing are different? Why was the community so silent? Where were our neighbors? Why didn't they come to help? I'm going to show you some pictures of my dad. This is a very old picture of my mom and dad when they first came to Ahmedabad. My dad finished his law in Ahmedabad. He was politically active. He was a union leader. He was the leader of the coolies. He was a very well speaker. He went out spreading the message that we are all the same. We need to get out of this mindset that we are Muslims and you are Hindus and you are another community. This is our home. This is where first was a very small house in 1969. After it got burnt, he rebuilt it. It's my mom and my dad. Then February 26th happened. In Godhra, that awful day, the train burned. We heard about the news in Times of India. And I thought, I'll call him and just kind of warn him that, just still didn't think about that. I said, I'll call him on the weekend. It was a weekday. This was our home on February 28th by 7 p.m. It was 29th of February when I woke up in the morning. My brother called me and said, go into Times of India. And I said, why? I'm getting kids ready to school. Why do I have to check Times of India in the morning? It's 8 o'clock. And the news was that Jafri and his wife have been murdered, burnt alive in their home. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know it wasn't possible. I have been going to India every year. I meet everybody. What is different about me and what is different about my family that they were targeted? I couldn't understand that. The whole idea of the complex was completely burned, the women, they kept telling me all these things. For the first 5 days I couldn't understand. They were calling me, trying to search. I thought, no, there's no way my father could be killed. By the end of the day, by the second day, we found out that my mom was actually saved from the house. So now let me tell you a little bit in detail about what happened and why I feel that people should know this is not just This happened on 26th February with the train, and 28th, this was, I think I have heard many times that this was the reaction for the 26th of February that happened in Godhra. It's a very awful thing that happened in Godhra. We should have brought those people who did that to justice. We should have talked about what happened and how we are going to find justice for those people who were killed in Godhra. They were human beings. On February 28th at 10 a.m., they started throwing stones on the complex. Our complex is 19 bungalows, it's 10 foot of wall. About 400 people are living outside the complex. They have their shops. They are Muslims among this majority Hindu community. By 10 a.m., my father was a little worried that the mob is building up outside there. They're throwing stones. The kids were throwing stones from inside. They were throwing stones from outside. My father started calling the police. You know, he went call all the friends in higher places, IPS officers, you know, political parties that he knew, the political friends that he knew. By noon, he had told everybody in the house, because people were gathering, they were running around, chaos was piling up in the complex, that we should find places to hide. If 10,000 people are outside with swords, 7 or 8 trucks were loaded with people with swords, gas tanks are exploding outside, where are you going to find place? Ahmedabad is a city. My house is in a place where 2 miles from my house is a civil hospital, the biggest Asia hospital 2 miles away. The military is settled just 2 miles on the other side of my house, on the place my father lives. The police, the IPS officers, nobody came. By 2 o'clock, they had burned, they had looted, all the girls were being pulled out of each house. Everybody was hearing the screams. My mother still wakes up. By 3 o'clock, my father had decided that nothing is going to happen. He took all the cash from the house, he took all the jewelry from the house, wherever he could, screaming, people were packed in there. He went outside and he told the mobs that was standing outside throwing fireballs in the house that please take all the money here, whatever I have, everybody else has put up everything they could, but spare the lives. The girls were being pulled out. He couldn't see that. I look that time and I think about this, why he did that. Let me see why. They were calling his name. So he thought by 3 o'clock that he will go outside and he will beg them to stake his life and spare whatever is left in the house. About 169 people that had women, children, pregnant women, my friends, girls were attending colleges, girls were doing high school. So by 3 o'clock he went outside and he said, I give up. Please take me and spare the people inside the house. After that, we didn't want to hear anything from anybody because the house was burned. Everybody in the house was, some of them suffocated. The house, because of the fire, my mother was upstairs. 7 people upstairs survived. We came to know about this. We went to the villages. We met all the people. In 2007, the Helka did a undercover video recording of people who had murdered him. I tried not to ask anybody how he was killed. I always thought that he suffocated in the house. We told my mother he suffocated in the house. Then we read how he was pulled out. He was brutally, for 45 minutes he was cut into pieces. Then his head was put on the trishul and he was paraded in the complex. Even today, I think about that and I feel like I pinch myself and this could not happen to me. What is different about me? Why did they do this to us? We've been living there. This is a free country. Why? I don't know the answer to why. Just imagine if I'm asking that answer today, what are those girls thinking about there who were raped? Like, I want to show you some pictures here of the girls that I have met. These are some of the pictures of my house. This is my mom. This is Firoz. This boy here is Firoz. That's his sister. He actually saw her being raped in front of him while they were holding him tight. Actually, they killed his parents, they were raping his sister, but he actually was behind the mob and he ran. He saved himself because he just put, I think he put something on his head, a headband, and he ran. Because he thought if he were to try to save his sister, he wouldn't be able to get out of there. He had a younger brother, he ran out of there. This is, I believe I have a picture of his sister here. This is another girl. She lived opposite our house. She had the baby. She was in my house that day when when the mobs came in. She lost her life. This is Kasam Chacha, his wife. I took this picture in 2009 when I was visiting them. They never had a photograph. Half the people that I told you about, the girls that are in our villages, they never had a photograph that I could share you. But I have this picture here of Kasam Chachi, we call her. Okay? And this is the picture that I took in 2009 of this family. There are only 4 survivors of this family. The rest of them all were in my house. All these kids, this girl here in the purple, this girl in the purple was actually the one with the baby here. This is Firoz and his home. He lost his mother, father, and his sister. That's me here, and that's Husna. She lost her mother, her brother. They lived like a couple blocks from our house. This is Firoza. She left her mother, her uncle, lost her mother and her uncle. It's another neighbor. This is Saira Banu. Her son was doing law. He was in our house. He was outside trying to help everybody, and he was actually burned to death. These are the camps. This is Najmi auntie. Her husband was in our house. This is Azhar. This is Rupa Modi's son. He was actually in the school that I studied in. She's still today, this is Rupa Modi, she's still fighting, she's still looking for him. She still thinks that he'll come back one day. This is in the village of Kalol. His entire family was traveling they ran in a jeep and the mob caught them in the jeep. I met this person in Kalol village. I couldn't face her. I didn't know what to do when I met her. This is Bilqis. She's the girl who was actually raped by 7 men. She's the only one who was persuaded to file an FIR, and she won the case. She was pregnant at the time when this rape happened. It's my brother and my mother who are fighting for justice. You can see Teesta and Rupa Modi behind my mother. Teesta is the activist who is actually fighting for this case. This is a sparrow nest in my house. My father had a big library, and all these books around the house, all these sparrows used to make little homes and little ghosla bote and nest in there. All this, the nest used to have this kachra in India, they call it. Na? My mother used to clean that all the time. When we went in 2011, the entire house is burned, but you can see the sparrows are still making their nest. I don't know if I've been able to tell you exactly what I came to tell here. I'm forgetting everything now. My mother is fighting for the justice. It's been 12 years. But I don't think there is anybody who can give justice to these young females who are butchered. In Ahmedabad, all around if you go, people will take you, if you go as an NGO, if you go as a reporter, they will take you to the places where the kids were actually electrocuted. They were killed they were put in the ponds and they were electrocuted. They will take you to the girl's house where they had actually killed her, raped her, right on the road. They will take you to the girl's house where they had actually slashed her tummy. She's pregnant. They'd cut her tummy. They'd taken the baby out and they'd then cut the baby out. These are things that they will tell you. They'll take you to the places. I don't think justice is going to be done for them. They are gone. So we decided that we'll talk, we'll go and show whatever we can in schools, in universities, in colleges. I've also done a little bit in the documentary here that Sheena is going to show, and many other places. Only trying to relay the message that why, when this political power struggle comes up, why are they always attacking the girls? What have they done? What are they trying to prove? What are they trying to do? I mean, we are all Indians. We are all living in a democratic country. Why don't you feel that we are the same? I still don't understand that. And I've been reading about all the other massacres, Muzaffarnagar that has happened after this, in 1984. What is going on? Why aren't we protecting our minorities? People tell me that it's been 12 years have gone by, we should give up now, there is going to be no justice. But I still have hope. I still have hope that if I keep telling people, the true people who have gone, who have left this world, who have suffered, if somebody will listen, something will happen. I don't want to give up, nor is my mom going to give up. And there are many people, many parents who are looking for justice. I want to thank you for being here and taking time to listen. And I hope you will read more about this, understand more detail about this whole episode, how it was planned. Listen to the documentaries, listen to the message that they are spreading for hate. There has to be a way to stop this. There has to be a way to make sure that everybody is protected. All girls are protected wherever they are, whatever religion they have. I shouldn't have to go around with my forehead saying I'm a Muslim. Thank you.